So there it is, a kind of a small haul for me this week. Just 4 books from my local comic book store. 4 things off my pull list and nothing really on the shelf that I wanted to add to that. So instead, well, I went in and dove into the dollar boxes. So here's the question. if if your favorite comic book is not among these 4 and you know it came out this week, which raggedy old back issues for $1 each did I decide I wanted more than your favorite book? Stick around and find out. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghai. My name is Duke, and this is the weekly haul for September 9th, 2020. And yes, right up front, I know a couple of things. I know that that's a week ago. And I know that a week in YouTube time is like a year in real time. And hey, I don't want to belabor the point, but doing these videos is strictly a hobby for me. It's something I do as I can, when I can, as long as it's fun, something fun to do. I have a full-time job. That takes up a lot of my time. I've got other life commitments that take up a fair chunk of my time. And unless and until I get to the point where this channel is monetized, where I'm actually deriving some kind of an income from it, and right now, it's a new channel. I've just done 23 videos. I've got 15 subscribers. The minimum 1,000 that you need to be monetized, that seems a long, long way off, an impossible pipe dream. But unless and until that happens, I'm just going to do these videos as it pleases me. It's strictly a hobby thing. So if you love these videos of mine, I don't know why you would, but if you do, and you want to see a new comic book video come out on New Comic Book Day, if that's really important to you, then please like, share, subscribe, do all of those groovy things and help this channel grow. But otherwise, like I said, until then, it's just strictly a hobby thing for me, and I do hope that you enjoy these videos, even if they are a week late or a year late by YouTube standards. Anyway, here we go. These are the 4 books that I bought this week. And the weekly haul videos, I should mention, the whole point and purpose of them is to just share a little bit of my passion for comic book collecting, something I've been at my entire life, which is so long, because I'm old. I'm very, very old. And it's to foster a dialogue, hopefully, with you, my fellow comic book fans. I'll tell you what I bought, why I bought it, and I hope you will respond in the comments below with what you bought. And if there's something that you know that came out this week that you love and you don't see it here, by all means, let me know. I would be happy to try that book based on your recommendation, even if it's not at my local comic book store. And odds are, if it's an independent book, it probably is not. Even if I have to search it down, I'll do that just based on your recommendation and give it a try. But these are the books that I did try this week. Let's go over them fairly quickly. We'll run through this. Ash and Thorn at number 5 of 5. And here's a little bit of the inside if you did not buy that, and see if it appeals to you. I can't tell you much about this series. I bought it because I have been growing increasingly frustrated with Marvel and DC over the last few years. So for my monthly comic book budget, I've been buying less and less and less of Marvel and DC and trying different independent books. And I can't even tell you why, but this just sort of appealed to me, the first issue solicitation in the previews. I thought, meh, why not? I'll give it a try. I haven't actually read it yet. I got a little busy during the whole COVID thing. I was fortunate enough that I never had to stop working, and my free time was taken up pretty much with a lot of homesteading, gardening, a lot of just-in-case apocalyptic stuff. And just, for the record, I was spectacularly unsuccessful at being a farmer. Didn't get much of a yield, not much of a harvest to speak of. But it was fun. I learned a lot, but it did take up a lot of my time. So I haven't actually read this series yet, and I don't normally wait until the mini-series is done to read it all in one sitting, but that's what's going to happen this time. So probably within the next week or so, I will finally sit down and read this now that the series is done. And I'll do a full run review here on the channel within the next week or so. Let's skip to this book, Blackwood the Morning After, number 4 of 4. And it's almost the exact same story to Ash and Thorn. Something I just tried just because I don't know why. The solicitation kind of appealed to me. There wasn't enough from Marvel and DC that I wanted to buy. I had room in the monthly budget, and I thought, sure, I'll try it. And I haven't got around to reading it yet, and probably within the next week or so, I'll finally sit down, read the whole thing, and I'll do a full run review here on the channel of the entire 4-issue series. Moving on, Bill and Ted. I don't normally buy other media stuff in comic books, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, all of that. And that's really because, I've always felt like they don't matter. The comics don't matter. When the next movie or TV series comes out, odds are it will invalidate everything that happened in the comic book, so it just feels like it's not canon. Why get into it? Why get invested in something that's just going to get wiped out? But with Bill and Ted, I gave it a try just because right there, Evan Dorkin. I figured, how can you go wrong with Evan Dorkin? And the book looks like a lot of fun. It's not drawn by Evan, but it does look like a lot of fun. And I don't know, have you seen the latest Bill and Ted movie? I have not, because I have kind of a financial objection to renting a movie for $20, like $20 to watch it once. And I have a philosophical objection to paying $25 to quote unquote own a digital movie. I don't feel like you can really own a digital movie. It can be altered, edited, changed, taken away. You can lose it. I've lost a lot of music that I have downloaded just from having a laptop crash and having forgot my Apple ID and had to create a new Apple account and lost all of those and can't get a hold of anybody at Apple who'll help you at all. So there was 5 or 6 albums that I just lost. So I don't want to take that chance with a video, that I paid $25 for. So if I can own it in physical media, I don't want it at all as far as movies go, and I'm not paying $20 to rent a movie. I'll wait until eventually, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, the new Bill and Ted movie will be out on some streaming service I'm subscribed to. So anyway, it's why I didn't watch the movie. It's why I did buy the comic book. Did you get the book? What did you think about it? Here's a book I think highly of. Hawkman. For my money, Hawkman is the best book being put out by DC right now, and I'm not the only one who says that. You can find a lot of other YouTubers who say the same thing. Frankly, I think this is a book DC should not be canceling. Breaks my heart they're canceling it. They ought to be putting a big marketing push behind it, considering all of the people who are saying how good it is. They ought to be doing something to get those sales up. So I don't know what's going to happen when this book ends. There's some talk maybe Venditti will end up on a Justice Society series. There's some talk that maybe he could end up on Superman. Although the conventional wisdom on YouTube seems to be that Mark Waid is going to be on Superman, and I don't know. I don't know if I really want to get into a big philosophical discussion. I don't want to be accused of being a comic skater or being an alt-right troll or any other the untruths people will say if I criticize Mark Waid. But let me just say that Mark Waid used to be my favorite writer, and now he's not. I feel like, apart from all of the stuff with Richard C. Meyer, and I do feel like Waid, based on what I know, is in the wrong there. Waid is turning into kind of a Steve Ditko. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Steve Ditko, but objectively speaking, his objectivist material is hard to read because he just tries so hard to hammer a political point of view over your head. And Waid is the same way lately with a progressive stance. And I noticed that even before I had heard any of the stuff with your boy Zach, Richard C. Meyer, any of that stuff that was going down. Before I knew anything about that, I began to look at Waid's stories and be like, something's wrong here. And he really does. He has Trump derangement syndrome real bad. he's got a heavy double dose of that. Not that, I'm a big fan of Trump myself, but I don't know. I don't feel like I want to read a Mark Waid comic book these days. And with Waid and Ron Mars and Mags and other people coming back to DC, I got a really, really bad knot in my stomach about the future of DC Comics. And the new general manager, Mr. Cherry, I don't know, based on what he's got in his social media, I'm I'm not sure he's going to give me comic books that are just comic books. I'm really afraid we're going to get a lot of social messaging, a lot of identity politics, and I may be buying in the near future even fewer DC comics. So, what did I buy this week for dollar comics? And before we go over these books, there really wasn't a lot out this week for other books on the shelves that weren't on my pull list. The Empire Aftermath books from Marvel, I didn't even bother looking at those on the shelf. I didn't pre-order them because I'm done with events. I am so over events that I can't afford them. They're generally not particularly good. Uh, so I just yeah, and I didn't even look at them on the stands. I couldn't even be bothered with that. I think the only other really big book to come out this week was maybe the Ice Cream Man Quarantine Special from Image Comics. And I've heard some people say some good things about that. Rock and Robbie over on the Comic Book Philosophers channel praised that book. I didn't even see it on the stands at my shop. I think that if the shop got it at all, it only got enough to fill any pre-orders that it had. And so I never even saw that. So let me know if you agree with Rock and Robbie and you love that book and think I should try it. Let me know. I'll try and track it down somewhere else. But these are the dollar books I got. And again, I've got a weekly budget. I spend about $25-30 a week on comic books. I should mention the new comic books. The company that I work for owns the comic book store where I get my books, which is .com Comics and Collectibles in Freeport, Maine. And I do get an employee discount on the new comics, not on the back issues, but on the new comics. But anyway, I spend about $25-30 a week on comics, and I just decided I'd rather have some old comics this week. So here's some stuff that I got. Pulled these all out of the dollar box. Cloak and Dagger, the second series, what was nominally an ongoing series, but only lasted 11 issues. I managed to get the first 4 out of the dollar box. I had this series back when it came out in the when did it come out? The 80s, 85 or so. And in the late 80s, I traded away all of my Marvel comics. There was an article by the Carter brothers in an Overstreet Price Guide all about their DC collection, and they owned one of everything DC had ever published. And at that point, I don't know how old I was at the time, 16, 17, 18, uh, it seemed an achievable goal. So I ended up trading away all the Marvels that I had, and I only had Marvels going back to about 1980 because we had a trailer fire in August of 1980, and I'd lost my entire collection that I had at that point. So all of my 1970s Marvels, I didn't have any then. It was just from about 80 to 89 or so that I had, and I traded them all away for some Silver Age DCs. In retrospect, that probably wasn't a great decision. Although I don't know that I'm particularly sorry that I've done it. Not particularly sorry that I did it, I should say. But anyway, I did have this series, and so now, for $1 each, I'm sort of recollecting it. Crossfire is a series that I enjoy. I was not able to buy this when it first came out. This series started in, 84, 85? And at that time, the only comic book stores there were in Maine were in Portland and Bangor, and either one was like a 2-hour drive or more each way for me. So I couldn't get to a comic book store every week. Not to mention that as a 16-year-old, I had a little trouble keeping a hold of my license. The state tended to want it more than I did. And so I couldn't buy this when it first came out. There was just no way to keep up with it because it was direct sales only. But I really do like the series, mainly because it's Mark Avanier and Dan Spiegel, and I like them mainly because of their run on Blackhawk. Oh, I loved their Blackhawk run, and so I have been slowly collecting this series over the years, here and there, as I see an issue, and that series went 26 issues, and so these two issues, number 8 and 13, that gives me now a run up to 1 through 16. So, still need the back half of the run. DC's Special 16. I mean, how can you go wrong with superheroes battle super gorillas? Uh, and this is, did I put a grade on it? Yeah, it's a 5.0. So, I mean, that's why it's in the dollar box. It's not in great condition. It looks a lot better in the bag than it actually is. This one I screwed up on. It's another one that looks better in the bag than it actually is. This is DC Special 18. And the reason I screwed up is I actually already have it. And if you can see on the camera, the big fold right there and another kind of a thing here. I think the copy that I have is probably in better condition than this. So always keep your list with you, boys and girls. Let that be a lesson. Never dive into a dollar box without a list. You will end up buying things you already have. Flash 232. I didn't put a grade on that one, but I think I graded that as like a 4. So again, that's why it's in the dollar box. But hey, 100 pages for $1. You really can't go wrong there. That doesn't really fill, well, actually, no, that did fill in a little bit of a run for me. I now have 232 to 350 of that series, except for just one issue. There's only one issue. I need 320 to complete that run. Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was not a book I was too into as a kid until the Champions came out. And it kind of worked in the reverse of the way they thought it would. The legend is that Tony Isabella wanted to do a buddy comic with X-Men, Iceman, and Angel. And the editor, whoever it was, I can't remember, said, no, it's got to be a team book. And a team book, you have to have a woman, you have to have a big, strong guy, and you have to have somebody who already has their own title. So that's how Angel and Iceman got teamed up with Black Widow, Hercules, and Ghost Rider. And I guess the theory of having a character who already had their own title is that would bring readers into the new team book. Well, for me, it worked, as I said, the opposite. I was a fan of the Champions, and so that got me buying Ghost Rider. And so there's an issue that I needed, number 37 for $1. It's only a 6.0, but again, it fills a hole. And so now I have number 36 through 80. So I have the whole back half of that series now. Superman 291, the line of DC superstars. Yeah, comic books were about 25 cents when I first started buying comic books on my own, making my own purchasing decisions with my allowance. They were either 25 cents or 60-cent giants. And but I didn't get this book. I don't remember ever seeing it as a kid. Might be just a giggle and a tick before I started buying. But hey, for $1, you can't go wrong, even at a at a 4 or 5. So, and then the last dollar book that I got, World's Finest, number 228. And again, with all of this, reprints of Eclipso and Vigilante and all of this other stuff, Aquaman and Metamorpho, you can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. This, I think, is kind of what DC is trying to do with its giant books in Walmart, except I find those books to be spectacularly unsuccessful, both because of where they're placed in the Walmarts and because of the mix of the reprints that they put in them. You can't buy one of those books and get a complete reading experience from any of the stories. Everything is just something that's kind of in the middle of something. So here, you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 complete stories for 60 cents. Somebody calculate, what is 60 cents from 1975 in 2020 dollars? How much did that book really cost? And the other thing about this book is it is a Super Sons book. I was pretty into the Super Sons as a kid. I love the recent Super Sons too, and I really wish Brian Michael Bendis had not been allowed to age up Superboy. I'm not unhappy Bendis is leaving. I'm only hopeful that he also leaves the Legion of Superheroes and that Superboy gets de-aged back to his natural age and we can get some more Super Sons again. So there you go. That's it. That's what I got this week. Those are the dollar books that I chose to buy rather than any of the new books that came out this week. What do you think? These $12 books, do you think these will give me a better reading experience than the 4 new books I could have got in their place? And if not, then tell me which 4 new books I should have bought instead of all of these dollar books. But there you go. That's it. That's the weekly haul for this week. I'll see you here again next week with a new haul video. And until then, goodbye, good luck, and please be good to each other.